Hi, I want to talk about Duism. Not Taoism, but Duism. UnDaoDu-ism. Duism is something I came up with, right? And I have a video below the story of uh, of MDU, right? Kind of the origin, and I'm not going to go into that, but I'm going to jump into what Duism. I wanted to ask myself or have a an answer to the question, why is there so many religions? Which is right, which is wrong? Is there a unifying theory that can be based in science? That was really what I set out to answer back in 2004. And by 2009, I spent 3 years in the heartland of Zen Buddhism meditating on this in the desolateness of rice fields near Eheiji in Japan. I had an answer. And it's the do. In Duism, the do stands for distributive unconsciousness. The do is the stuff within the Big Bang, right? That stuff. You can think of it as the fifth state of stuff. You have matter, you have liquid, you have gas, you have plasma, and you got this fifth state, this entangled stuff. And this entangled stuff is the stuff of on a quantum scale, the stuff of where, for example, where the electron disappears to. It's kind of like this fabric that fills everything. And we know this fabric exists because of something called quantum mechanics. There's something called supersymmetry, entanglement, quantum teleportation, which is all built around this idea of this data moving from A to B, extremely, fast and instantaneously. Instantaneously it moves. So regardless of where two things are positioned, entanglement is instantaneous. So they're using it now for quantum communication to verify that two people are online uniquely and there's no one else listening in. For example, the Chinese developed that. So when you can move data from A to B instantaneously, then basically it violates the whole Einstein's theory that no data can move faster than the speed of light. Well, we show it in the lab all the time with this quantum computing. So Duism, in essence, is very simple. It just says that we are the dew. We're an expression of the dew. We're the flowering of the dew. Think of the dew as the lotus seed. Think of it opening and then flowering, right? So UnDaoDu. We are the flowering of the dew, and this thing of who am I is actually kind of a universal echo of the dew wanting to know who it is in a way, right? So we're the consciousness of the dew asking, who am I, right? And you could think of life as kind of a test. It puts it's in, or think of it like a filter. So you can either go through life as an where you don't understand anything, you just try to gather as much, as many toys, and you run by the philosophy, the one who dies with the most toys wins, right? Those are uns. And other are individuals that blindly follow others. When Jesus did after his Last Supper, he wanted to know, where his disciples were, right? So he holds this master class, and this master class is actually, the book of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of St. Thomas. You don't call it Gospel of Thomas, call it St. Thomas. It's there's another word for it, and I can't think of it right now. But the beautiful thing about this gospel, it is Thomas just writing word for word what Jesus said. And it opens up with a line that somewhat goes like this: if you will grasp these words, you will not experience death. Because when you exist in the dew, all right, as an awoke one, so unawoke, awakening, awoke, right? UnDaoDu. When you exist in the state of awokeness as a sadhu is one who is awoke. A sadhu is the one who says the do, who says the truth. Jesus was a sadhu. Muhammad was a sadhu. Buddha is a sadhu, right? Or was, was a sadhu. The Dalai Lama is a sadhu. And there are many sadhus. Sadhu-ness is inherent in all of us. And life is just a matter of basically this process of awakening. This process of awakening within yourself. This is a journey that can't be taken by others, whether it's from reading books or going to courses or anything else. This is a journey that you must choose to take on your own and to awaken. And religion and philosophy and all these things is just the coloring of the do. That's it. And it's the coloring of do with the challenge of vocabulary. So let me explain that. So if I'm a sadhu 3,000 years ago and you call me Christ or Jesus Christ, I'm Jesus Christ. Anyone who's a sadhu is any previous sadhu. They're not unique. The essence, remember, we were near singularity. We were all one thing. So when I was incarnated as Jesus, or as Buddha, or as UnDaoDu, right? Here's the first incarnation, the first one, carrying the weight of truth on his back, struggling to stand up, staring at the summer wind that now is, sweeping our planet. The corona, the protests, and the 2020 elections in many respects. Sadhu. We are, I forgot my train of thought. I apologize. So, we're in this process of awakening. You can't differentiate stuff. That's right. I was talking about sadhus. A sadhu is one thing. So when the sadhu you call Christ says, if you will grasp my words, you won't experience death. What he's saying is you will become one with the do. You're just you're just in the do now. You'll realize this body is nothing but basically a lump of flesh that's going to rot and decay and go back to the earth. The atoms are going to be right? But it is kind of like a connection to this thing. And this thing, which is everything, whether this chair, this iPad, everything around us exists in this state of do. On scientific things, if you're finding hard to believe, this dark matter, dark energy, is the arrow of time. It is the graviton. It's the place where the electron disappears off to. It's the do. We need the do to create the equations for everything to work, right? You just call it dark energy, dark matter. It's the do. It's the residue left over from this event, okay? This event that happened. So as a doist, all you are saying is, I believe that the stuff inside the near singularity, right, is the stuff of me. That in this state of entanglement, it's a state of entanglement. It's a solid state, liquid state, gas state, plasma state, entangled state, right? In this entangled state, we're all one. So in that argument right there, you understand when I say, I am Jesus, I am Buddha, I am this sadhu, what I'm referring to, we are one. Now, that's a very dangerous thing to say, because if the person has the wrong cognitive state of mind, if that person believes in the Old Testament and comes to this reality, then you have a dangerous person. If you have someone who is a doist and comes to this state, then you laugh and smile because you're just awoke. That's all, right? It doesn't come with any magical powers. It doesn't give you any control, or it's not a hierarchical thing. It's a natural evolutionary thing, right? For in a way, like this is a test. This is a test to see whether you're going to be in a state of and you're going to be trapped in the state of coming back. There's Buddhism, right? Or are you going to self-impose you into this belief of hell, which is the same thing, right? Heaven is when you become one with the do, or you want to personify, anthropomorphize the do into this thing, and you become one. This anyone who is very spiritual has this sense of feeling, right? Has a sense of connection. And it's the do that they find themselves connected to. But the challenge is interpreting what that means. And if you're listening again to vocabulary, that's where I was at. The vocabulary of 3,000 years ago, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I feel, you have this sense of euphoric connection. You start becoming an Old Testament, Moses or Abraham, or the rest of all these zealots, because you're dealing with a vocabulary that couldn't explain the origin of the universe other than the limitations of the vocabulary that it has. So I hope as I leave this world, maybe I'll die in a month because of the coronavirus, maybe I'll get infected and pass, all right? I'm leaving these videos and stuff for folks to listen to as a record. I know in the future, for example, I'm immortal because I have so much video content online that some AI will recreate me. And I give freedom for O2O2 to recreate me in the future, as long as you represent my truth and don't use me to manipulate others. And, so I hope in the future, I have 2 boys and their grandchildren, they'll say, UnDaoDu, and I'll appear. I'll appear. Yeah, what do you need? Oh, I'm your great. Oh, really? You're my great? Oh, wow. You're Tommy's son. Your grandfather is Tommy, and I will be there as a guide to them, to their awakening. We are living in very dangerous times, and it's easy for fundamentalism to creep back into our system. But when you start to think of us as being 13.8 billion years old, 13.8 billion years old, we're not going to get any older than 13.8 billion years old. This is it. That's our age, 13.8 billion years old. That's it. We're not going to survive another million years. Not in this state anyway, right? I don't know what state we'll be in. We'll be in the do state or everything else, but we're it. This is it. That's it. 13.8. That's what it takes for us to evolve into the consciousness and to evolve our endpoint. So the clock is finished on us. We're not going to get to 13.9 billion, right? We just won't. 13.8 is the magic. We may find out we're actually 13.9 because the Big Bang actually happened a little bit further back, but then that's just, we're 13.9. Yeah. But we won't get to the 0.9. But that's okay. We don't need to get to the 0.9 because we're here and awoke. So whether you are, a Shiite doist, right? Or a Christian doist, or a Muslim doist, or a Hindu doist with a small d, capital H, right? Your first is capital, right? Capital C, small doist. We create a world. Imagine a world of people who are doist and say, okay, we all agree. We started here and we flowered to here. And each of us have a right to color as long as 3 things. UnDaoDu. Where we give everyone the right to color, right? We're not going to undo their coloring. We're not going to tell their coloring's bad. Number 2, we're not going to impose our coloring on others. You don't have to be a doist. It's perfectly voluntary. No one's, asking for donations or anything else. Number 3, you're not going to harm people with your coloring. Saying a woman can't get an education, saying that you have to be discriminated, these things are harming, right? We're all equals. We're all products of this awakening, right? This flowering. And whether you're a woman, whether you're black, whether you're white, we're all equals. We're all the same thing. Because if you go back in time, we were all one. We're all one inside this near singularity that now expressing itself. So there you go. That's a doist. And if you want to teach Duism to your child, the foundation of Duism that I started teaching to my kids is smile. Smile at those that drive you crazy. Recognize the uns around you that are trying to undo you, unwind you, right? Recognize them for what they are and love them and smile them, because ultimately they do love you, but they're in the state of unness, right? They don't understand you. Dao, help. Help someone today, right? And it could be a small help. I'm hoping this video helps someone in the future, making a talk, campaigning against the king of uns, Donald Trump, getting him out of there. And finally, share. Share your time, share your stuff, share your controller, right? Share, because ultimately sharing is the hardest thing. And if I can get my boys to share when they're, kids, and UnDaoDu, that is a do. When you start to share who you are with others, you truly are a do. So the foundation of the metaphysics of UnDaoDu is simply that. UnDaoDu. 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 To you and yours, be safe. From UnDaoDu to you.